This is Vinyl 4, round 15. Here we go, Craig. You ready? Are you
Of
ready?
course. I'm always ready. I
Absolutely.
was born ready.
Born ready. Let's just jump right in. We'll first go back round 14, our survivors, the Vinyl 4, Stevie Wonder Talking Book, Radiohead The Bends, Nirvana MTV Unplugged in New York, and George Michael Fates. So that was round 14. Moving on, onward and upward, round 15. Craig, you get to go first. Let's get right to it. Your first matchup at 221, My Bloody Valentine Loveless
Okay.
versus 50, Little Richard. Here's Little Richard. That's a pretty diverse
Yeah.
matchup, to say the least.
Yeah, that's quite a matchup. Um, you know, m Loveless is one of those albums that I continue to explore and try to understand to get on that same level that so many people are. I'm still not there, even though there's some just gut-wrenchingly beautiful moments on that album. There is a lot of noise, um, and I know that's with intention, but I've just never been I respect the likes of Little Richard, did so much for rock and roll, did so much for diversity in rock and roll. Nobody was more passionate, nobody was more exuberant, and played with flair, but the albums just don't. It's kinda like Chuck Berry. I love Chuck Berry, but the albums don't do it for me. And I'm not a collection guy, I'm an album guy, and I feel like Little Richard and Chuck Berry in that same category where, man, The Great 28, oh, is phenomenal collection. But when I download the albums and listen to those, they just don't do much for me. And I gotta go with My Bloody Valentine just based off the fact there's so many bands that I love that cite them as their number one influence. So,
Yeah,
Loveless.
I'm with you. I would. Oh, wow. I have. I have the Who playing in the background, anticipating my matchup coming up.
Nice.
I agree with you. There are moments of Loveless that are just so hard to wrap my head around, so loud. But honestly, some of my favorite moments on record of that time period are from
Right.
that album. There's a couple songs on there that I think are some of the best songs of the shoegaze genre.
Yep, for
It,
sure.
it's so hit or miss for me. There are songs that I would rate a 9 or a 10, and there's some songs in there I'd rate a 1 or a 2. And there's
Yeah,
a couple in between, but it's very to me, it's very polarizing. There's some unbelievable
totally agree.
songs on there and then some awful songs. So, yeah, I'm with you. There's enough good stuff to understand its advancement to the next round here. So, all right, hit me with it.
All right, you've got Slater Kinney, "Dig Me Out" versus The Who, a quick one. Slater Kinney came in at 273, and The Who came in at 385.
Yeah, I was listening. Actually, that's why I was playing a minute ago. I was listening to a quick one again because I'm not the biggest Who fan. You and I both have talked about this.
Yep,
There's something missing for me with the Who. I love some of their stuff. I mean,
yep,
Eminence Front, the later stuff. You Better You Bet. Who Are You? And then I understand the impact of the early songs, My Generation, and on this
excellent
album,
song.
Boris the Spider. They've got great moments.
Right,
And then I've never ever been a Sleater Kenny fan. I just haven't. It's never captured me. Probably, admittedly, not. I have not given it enough time. So for this round, I'm going with the Who all the way. It feels right to go with the Who here. It's not my favorite Who album by far. It's probably my fourth or fifth favorite album by the Who,
yeah,
but still, for me, it beats out Sleater Kenny in this round.
yeah, it's tough. I don't know, I think I would go Slater Kinney on that, but that's alright. That's cool.
Hey,
We do it.
you know what you can do in the redemption round.
For sure.
All
Yeah.
right, here you go. Number 97. Oof. Bob Dylan, the Free Willin' Bob Dylan versus 487 Earth, Wind and Fire. That's the way of the world.
This one's tough. It's 97 versus 487, and this is so much closer to me
Yeah.
than one would imagine. Because I love Earth, Wind& and Fire. I really do. But it's the Free Will and Bob Dylan. And I feel like this is one of those albums for me, the folk side of Dylan that where it's just there's hardly a rough spot. There's not a rough spot on the album. It's just such a great record. I gotta go Free Willin', but it must be known Earth, Wind& and Fire is I'm so happy that it's on the list, even though it's all the way down at 487, because I think that's one of the most overlooked bands out there, so
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I don't recall many times seeing where Earth, Wind and Fire got a lot of due from critics, which is really what this Rolling Stone 500 list is in the end.
right.
And I've never, I've always felt that they get passed over as more of a fun singles band. They
Yeah,
were unbelievable. Uh, I,
absolutely.
I'm happy. To your point, I'm happy they even made the 500,
Yep.
but I get it. Free Will and Bob Dylan. Yeah. So, all right, I'm ready.
Next up for you, this is a pretty close matchup. At 408, you have The Clash with Sandinista! Exclamation point. Sandinista! And then you have Eagles, self-titled album Eagles, 369. So 369 going up against 408. What say you, Sean?
I have struggled with this matchup more than any other in recent memory, I think. Definitely for this round, I'm definitely struggling with this because I love The Clash. I love Magnificent Seven is probably my second or third favorite song by The Clash ever. I've always loved that song. I love that bass
Excellent song.
in it. It's such a good song. The album is so long, Craig. I don't know that I've ever listened to it in one sitting. I mean, I'm almost certain I haven't listened to it in one sitting. How about you? Have you ever sat down and just listened to the entire Sandinista record?
Yeah, being a big fan and, of course, working in a store, you're forced to. So,
Yeah,
yes, I have. Since my store days, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm almost certain I have not listened to it in its entirety since then.
yeah. Oh man, I mean, we both know, and it's already made it through the feeling that we both have for London Calling. Even Combat Rock, I love that album. I know not everyone loves that album,
Stellar
but
album, very underrated in my opinion. Yep.
very underrated. And then I look at the Eagles. I'm a huge Eagles fan. Plain and simple. Love especially. I love every period of their music. I love everything up through the long run. This being the first album, the one that kicked it off, that changed country rock, and it has "Take It Easy." Let's see what else is like. "Peaceful Easy Feeling." "Witchy Woman" which is actually one of my least favorite of all their singles. "Witchy Woman" was a song I never loved, but "Take It Easy," "Peaceful Easy Feeling," "Trying," love all of their stuff. I've got to go with Eagles here over the very bloated Sandinista record.
Yeah.
Just feels right for me. There's a part of me that wants to say, "Oh, the Clash all day long," but I just can't do it on this matchup.
Look, Sandinista is notorious for being one of the most scattershot albums, out there, especially for that band. When they hit on that album, God, they hit. There's some great dub tracks on there. There's so much good reggae influence. Um, I would go with The Clash because I just think Eagles are one of the most boring bands on the planet. It's so funny that you mentioned Witchy Woman because that's one of the only songs that I ever really cared for. At
Wow.
least it had something to it. I'll say this as a sidebar. We were hearing something, a song that I always thought I liked. I can't tell you why. I was playing on the radio the day, and I'm like, keep it there, Beck. And then after about 2 or 3 minutes, she just looked at me and she says, "And now I'm bored." And I go, "You're so right." She goes, "There's just nothing to this song." And I go, and this sadly is one of their best songs. So I'm sorry, not to rip them. I just think
Mm.
Eagles are they
I
just
mean,
bore me.
it's a matter of opinion. That's the beauty of this.
Yep,
I've always been an Eagles fan since the time I was a little kid. First song I ever heard, "Lion Eyes," and I've been an Eagles fan ever since.
pretty solid song. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I will say this, I can't tell you why. To me, Don Felder, absolute amazing guitar player, and I love that guitar solo in that song. But yeah, it was a tough choice. It was, but yeah, that's what we love about this competition or this are the tough choices. Speaking of which, you have a tough one here. Maybe, maybe not, maybe
N
not.
no.
368, Madonna, Ray of Light. 78, Otis Redding, Otis Blue. Never mind, it's not a tough choice, but I don't get to
Yeah.
pick for you, so
Yeah. Of course, I'm going Ray of Light. No, I'm just kidding. Otis Blue, come on, people, I'm telling you, most people, when it comes to Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Al Green, they go for the greatest hits, and those greatest hits are awesome. I'm telling you what, now you're not looking at big hits, huge hits on this album. There's only, I honestly can't tell you if there's one, two, or there's not a lot of hits on this album, and that's what I love about it. This is Otis to me at his best. If you look this up, it is a 5-star record. Everybody cites it as one of the most influential, one of the best R&B and soul albums ever. 78 might be a bit high, if we're being honest. This album is a stone cold classic. I'm still looking for the right copy on vinyl. Otis Blue all the way. All the way.
I love it. I'm right there with you. It wouldn't even have been a contemplation. It would have been just what you did. Yep.
Okay.
Speaking of which,
Yeah. Well, so this is a tough one for me, but I totally get it, and I can see where you would not like one of the two options. You have at 242 the Replacements Let It Be versus 407 PJ Harvey with her very critically acclaimed her breakout album Rid of Me.
yeah, I'll spare all the drama and mystery here. Replacements are one of my probably 10 favorite bands of all time. Let It Be, even though Let It Be is not my favorite record by them,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
lot of people's favorite record,
Love
and
it.
critics would say it's their best record. I actually love All Shook Down the most. I just absolutely it's entry point for me though. That's when I got
Huh?
into
I get
Replacements.
that.
Don't Tell a Soul, All Shook Down. Pleased to Meet Me. Absolutely love Tim. Oh my gosh. I mean, we go on and on. I am just all the way Replacements here. I'm not a big PJ Harvey fan. In fairness, probably haven't given her enough of a chance. Even if I was really into her, I'd still pick the Replacements Let It Be. I
Oh,
think it's
for
one of the
sure.
best rock and roll albums of the 80s.
Yeah, it's that's not even a tough choice for me either. I love PJ Harvey. That's not my favorite PJ Harvey album. I think Let It Be has become my favorite album. I've always said for the longest time it was 10 and maybe even Pleased to Meet Me, but I've since kind of gone against the critics because I just got tired of being told what album should be my favorite. And then
Yeah.
the more I thought about it, it's like, but I keep going to it more often. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think replacements for both of us can go deep.
Yeah, those 5 records, Let It Be, Tim, Pleased to Meet Me, Don't Tell a Soul, which I know some people hate that record, and All Shook Down.
Yeah.
The difference for me and how I would rate them 1 through 5, it's so close. The difference between 1 and 5 of those pretty close for me because I love them all and have listened to all of them so much.
Yep.
All right, your last matchup, Yardbirds coming in at 351 with Roger the Engineer versus 464, Echo and the Bunnymen, Heaven Up Here.
I mean, come on.
Come on. Come on
I'm
now.
sorry, Yardbirds. I'm sorry. You just Echo and the Bunnymen's Heaven Up Here is just absolutely amazing. One of my favorite albums of that era. It's definitely my favorite Echo and the Bunnymen album. Um, love Porcupine. I love
Ocean Rain.
I don't know. Crocodiles is probably my favorite. Heaven Up Here is probably my second favorite. If I'm being
Okay.
Crocodiles is so good. It's a little bit poppier. It's a little bit less edgy. So I got to be honest. It's a toss up. I got a chance to see them on a tour. I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, somewhere along those lines, and they played Crocodiles and Heaven Up Here back to back. Was
I was with
just
you. That was at Masquerade, right?
it was at the Masquerade.
Yeah.
I thought I was with my friend Andy for
There
that
was a
show. I don't.
group of us there. I met you there, and you had a friend with you. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, that was a great
Okay,
show.
cool.
He came
Yeah.
out in his long black coat and
Just
smoking
chain
cigarettes. And
chain smoked and mumbled the entire time. I couldn't understand a single word he said in between songs, but I didn't care.
it, yeah, which is so funny because then he sings, and you go, "Oh yeah, I can hear clearly every word." But
Right.
yeah, his
It's
banter in between songs was
It's
indecipherable.
yes. Yeah. Wonderful album, man. All right, your last matchup here. This is an interesting one. I don't know if you follow one of these bands. I'll learn real quick here. 396 LCD Sound System, The Sound of Silver, going up against 181 Bob Marley and the Wailers, Natty Dread. Are you familiar with Marley? And I'm just kidding.
Yeah, a little bit. I think I've heard of him before. Yeah, this one, Natty Dread all day long for me. I love Bob Marley, just like well, I feel like we've said this for other artists, but just like I would say for Stevie Wonder and his
Yep.
output in the 70s and Springsteen, and there's a couple of others that we've talked about that were just on a roll in the 70s. Bob
Yep.
Marley was on an absolute roll. Every single record in that time period that he released is amazing. Them Belly Full, Lively Up Yourself, No Woman No Cry. I mean, so many great songs on just on this that's just on this album. And
Right.
yeah, I like LCD, but they've never been one of those go-to bands for me. I don't even know why. And I know this is actually one of those albums that a lot of people reference as one of, over the past 25 years, you talk about OK Computer and, just seminal records. This is one of them for people, but for me, it's Bob Marley all day.
Yeah, I've tried with LCD. I don't know. Bob Marley and the Wailers, you know me, I'm a huge reggae fan. I very rarely play them out in public because I just feel like it's a cliched thing, even though there's no denying, and that's just me. I love a lot of roots reggae. But when you're comparing the sound of a lot of the bands that I love so much compared to the Wailers, it's really tough to compete because the Wailers were so tight. Everything was so
Mm,
clearly and articulate. A lot of reggae wasn't recorded very well.
yeah.
Really wasn't. And so these guys were every single album. Natty Dread is a stone cold classic. And when I do listen to Marley, it just makes me happy. His messages weren't quite he had a little bit more of a it's a shame of how he left this world because he had a much more uh brighter way of articulating his pain
Yeah.
than a lot of the other reggae artists will come out and tell you, "Hey, this shit's crazy."
Yeah.
And he kind of brought out the light of things, and that was a tough thing to do, especially when you look up the history and where he grew up and just what they were going through. So, love that band. I think that's a no-brainer for me too,
Yeah. Yeah. He really brought reggae to America.
for
There
sure.
were pockets of people, of course, were reggae fans, but he popularized it, had such a great influence. All right, I'll go back through your four and my four selections. We have what
Okay.
we call the redemption round, which
Yep.
is what we're going to do next. Craig went first this week, so he also gets first pick on redemption round, which means anything that's been cast aside, he can pick up and trade for one of his picks. Here are Craig's choices so far: My Bloody Valentine, Loveless; Bob Dylan, The Free Will and Bob Dylan; Otis Redding, Otis Blue; and Echo and the Bunnymen, Heaven Up Here. On my side, I have The Who, A Quick One; Eagles, self-titled Eagles; The Replacements, Let It Be; and Bob Marley and the Wailers, Natty Dread. Those are the winners so far. Then on the other side, the uh, albums that were not selected, we have Little Richard. Here's Little Richard. We have Slater Kinney, Dig Me Out. Earth, Wind and Fire. That's the Way of the World. The Clash, Sandinista, with an apostrophe or I'm sorry, an exclamation. Madonna, Ray of Light. PJ Harvey, Rid of Me. The Yardbirds, Roger the Engineer; and LCD Sound System, Sound of Silver. Do you want to make a trade?
Nope, I'm good where I'm at.
All right. So Craig is not making a trade. I'm going to look real quickly here, see what I might want to do. And I'm not making a trade either. So I'm going to go with what I got.
Cool. Okay.
Nope, nope, nope. I am making a trade. Never mind. I am making a trade because I'm just being fair and honest here. Sandinista is a way better record than the Who, A Quick One for me. I,
Yeah.
I
Agree.
mean, it just
Good
is.
call.
It wasn't good enough to beat the Eagles for me, but it is good enough to beat the Who, A Quick One. So now I have as my final four that I got to narrow down to two in a moment, I have The Clash Sandinista, Eagles self-titled, Replacements Let It Be, and Bob Marley, Natty Dread. Your four that you've decided to stick with: My Bloody Valentine, Loveless, Bob Dylan, The Free Will and Bob Dylan, Otis Redding, Otis Blue, and Echo and the Bunnymen, Heaven Up Here. So, Craig, you have to make the excruciating choice now of narrowing that down to two.
All right, so I'll be really upfront. This is easy for me. This is totally easy for me, and it's a polar opposite wise as far as where they're ranked. It's the lowest ranked and the highest ranked. Um, I first start with Otis Redding, Otis Blue. That is absolutely has to stay. So there's no way I'm getting rid of that. And then it would really come down, My Bloody Valentine, respect, absolutely respect, and I will continue to try. Like you said, there's just some beautiful, beautiful moments on that record, and I love their influence. I absolutely love their sound. I love their influence. But it's just not an album I've connected with. So it really comes down to Free Will and Bob Dylan and Heaven Up Here from Echo and the Bunnymen. Says my second favorite Echo and the Bunnymen record. For me, discovering they were one of the first bands that broke me out of just metal, just classic rock, just punk, and got me into stuff that was different. Just when I was in college, that was one of the first bands that I just truly connected with and said, there's something about this that's purely melodic. There's something about it that's not, or there's something about it that's jagged, but it still maintains melody. And I just love the structure. It's very unpredictable. Love that band, always will. Like I said, it's not my favorite album from them, but it's very close. So I'm going to go with 464, Echo and the Bunnymen, Heaven Up Here, and 78, Otis Redding, Otis Blue.
Love it. All right. Now, The Clash, Eagles, Replacements, Bob Marley. Okay. The Replacements are safe. They're moving on. Let it be. Even though it's maybe my second favorite or third favorite Replacements album, it's still better than just about anything ever made. So again, I'm biased because I'd probably have 4 or 5 Replacement records in my top 200 albums of all time, honestly.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Let It Be does make it. And then I got to decide between Bob Marley, the Eagles, and the Clash. Since the Eagles beat out the Clash already, I'll spare the mystery there. The Clash are out. But I had to give them the respect to at least make it to the Elite Eight, if you will.
Cool.
My final four, the overall Elite Eight, I had to give them respect there. Now it's down to Eagles versus Bob Marley. Huge, huge Eagles fan, but I'm going with Bob Marley. Natty Dread, all day long. So my
Nice.
two choices: Replacements, Let It Be, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Natty Dread, along with your Echo and the Bunnymen, Heaven Up Here, Otis Redding, Otis Blue. That is a solid vinyl four for today.
That's probably one of the best vinyl fours we've had.
I think
honestly.
so too. I was thinking
I love
the
all
same.
4 of those records. So
Yeah, I do too. I'm so happy about those moving forward, and I don't have any regrets.
Yep.
There are weeks we leave this show that I have regrets.
You never want to have
any
regrets.
regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. No regrets. Okay, we'll wrap up here, but let's talk about next week. Let's get fired up about next week and get our listeners fired up about the matchups.
Cool.
Round 16. Craig, next week when we finish round 16, we are halfway through. Can you believe that?
That's crazy. I know.
It's crazy. When we first looked at this and I thought about 512 records, if we're doing 32 rounds, it seemed pretty daunting. We're halfway there. It's just amazing. All right. I will read out. I go first next week. So here are my choices. Liz Phair, and I'll skip the numbers for now. Liz Phair, Exile in Guyville versus Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Damn the Torpedoes.
Oof, God.
Yeah. Then I will list this number 1 ranked album in this Rolling Stone 500 from 2012. The Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's is number 1. So I get to pick for the number 1 versus, oh my gosh, the Police, Regatta de Blanc.
Yep.
Then I have Van Halen, the debut, Van Halen, versus Elvis Presley, Sunrise. And then finally, my last matchup, Richard and Linda Thompson, I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight, versus Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
that is there are so many good records just in the 8 that I mentioned for myself. I can't even that may be some of the I mean, there's usually 4 that I love and 4 that I'm lukewarm on.
Yep.
I think there's 6 here that I love. It's weird. Okay. Your choices. Quicksilver Messenger Service, Happy Trails versus Paul Simon Graceland. Then you have, oh my gosh, The Stooges Funhouse versus Steely Dan, Asia. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic versus Willie Nelson, Redheaded Stranger. And then
Mhm.
finally, holy cow, Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory versus Jimi Hendrix Experience, Axis, Bold as Love. Dude, you might lose some sleep over this round. Not gonna lie.
This is I think overall, yours are painful too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already talked about Richard and Linda Thompson.
Yep.
This is that's my favorite album from them. I Wanna See the Bright Lights Tonight. I love that
Yeah.
album.
Love it.
Van Halen versus Sunrise. I don't think people realize the Sun Sessions from Elvis is just absolutely epic. It is ranked 11th, by the way. There's a reason why.
Mm.
The first 2 matchups for me, I feel pretty confident in, I really do. But the last 2 are brutal. Red Hot Chili Peppers versus Willie Nelson. I'm telling you guys, don't sleep on a Nelson record, especially Redheaded Stranger. That was kind of a big comeback record.
Yeah, especially Willie Nelson in the '70s in general, especially the mid '70s.
Yes.
Oof.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Absolutely unreal. And then the last one is just like, come on. That's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm that's one I'm literally probably gonna flip a coin before we hit record. I'm gonna have to because
Yeah.
that's tough.
I know. That's what we love about this, though. If it was easy, somebody else would have already done this. We're doing the hard work for everyone else
Yep.
by making these tough choices. This isn't made for everyone. It's made for everyone to listen to, but it's
Right.
not made for everyone to try to make these choices. It was something meant for you and I, Craig. So here we go. Another round
Yeah.
next week.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll wrap up here. Craig, awesome.
Yeah,
Had so much
absolutely,
fun.
great
Yeah.
job, man.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll check back in next week with round 16. Vinyl 4 is out.